I pulled in, I mean, the alley is very, very scary. I mean, even for someone that's not afraid of alleys, it's a real dark alley back there, and I'm looking around like, what is going on around here? I made it inside the building. I'm still looking around. I mean, there's homeless people in the alley. I mean, there's a lot of things going on that are, not good. And this also is in the book too, because what was the icing on the cake in those first few days was I was getting a tour from the maintenance man who, I would consider my best friend. I dedicated my entire book to him because I could have never worked there if it wasn't for him. But we were on a tour, of just checking out the building, and then over like a loud radio, someone's died, and on a walkie-talkie, and I'm like, what do you mean someone's died? And he explained it happens all the time, and I'm thinking to myself, what, so, I mean, it happened in the beginning, the red flags were there, but in the same breath, I'm sure since you guys live in LA, people continue to talk about the revitalization of downtown Los Angeles, how things are changing, how the hipsters are moving in, how bars and restaurants are opening, so there was a lot of that vision during that time, and it felt exciting to be a part of it.
Yeah. I have a question. You said that the maintenance man became a dear friend of yours, and he's giving you a tour. Now, while he's giving you a tour, I can't imagine him not giving you this tour saying, let me tell you some of the things about this place. He must have told you stories. And I know that from a doc, they talk about maybe ghosts and spirits. Did you feel like he was telling the truth and going like, I don't want to spook you, but here's some of the things about this hotel. Can you share that?
That's not really how his personality is designed. It's more or less things are kind of downplayed. So when I was getting, this tour and going in all these different rooms, I mean, some of them, the odor was just, it's hard to even explain what was going on with some of these rooms. And I, at one point asked him, is there a room that someone has not died in? Because we would walk in and I'd be like, oh, what happened in here? It just had a bad vibe, and he had a very good memory, and he would give me the story, the lowdown of how that person had been found. I mean, he had worked there by the time I left, like over 35 years. So, he certainly had a lot of experience when things were rough. In the 80s, he explained it was like really bad in the 80s, so. Yeah.
We all grew up in the Midwest. I'm from Minnesota. Kato's from Milwaukee. You're from Michigan. I mean, you grew up there. You're sensible, right? You got common sense. You can kind of trust your instincts, especially if you move out to LA, right? There's something that drew you out here. So you got common sense. You can sense things where maybe they're out of the ordinary. It had to be almost palpable. Like there had to be almost an energy in that hotel that was off or eerie or creepy or weird. And if there was, did you feel it all the time?
I have to say that through all my years there, and I mean, I do write about this because I know that people want to know, do you believe in ghosts and all that? I do believe in ghosts. I do. I mean, I think, of course, I believe in ghosts, but I really didn't have any direct, encounters. I mean, I heard a lot of stories, and I certainly experienced a lot of grief and a lot of sadness and like really unfortunate things that happened. But I really can't say that I had, an experience directly with a ghost.
How did you find out about the job opening, and what was it like interviewing there?
I didn't interview at all. I was sitting on my back patio in Hermosa Beach with my friends drinking wine, and one of her friends needed help at the hotel, and I offered. So that's basically what happened, and I was supposed to be there for 3 days, and that led to 10 years.
Tom, that's a great question. Amy, I want to ask, you're in Hermosa Beach, which is pretty affluent. I used to live there myself, and drinking wine, and your friend says Cecil Hotel. You have no idea what the Cecil Hotel is at that moment, right? Because it's Skid Row, you're in Hermosa, you're going down to this thing going, why did I say yes to this? Am I right?
I am from a pretty small town in Michigan. So, that's my background. I grew up on 10 acres of land. So, the variance of what the Cecil was really couldn't be further away from what I was accustomed to. But another thing to note, back in those days, the iPhones weren't out where we just immediately Googled. It was just like, we'll meet there tomorrow. It wasn't like, let's hop online and find out what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah, and Amy, that's similar to so many people that stayed at that hotel. This isn't like common knowledge for everybody here in LA, but once you dig in, you realize the history of the Cecil Hotel.